since we actually paid off the property. So I don't really know what's going on.
I meet my real estate agent out here on Kody Pass because Robyn, I think, was the last to give up on the dream. But she's finally consented, yeah, let's go ahead and sell. I think they're worried about whether I'm going to be fair or not because divorce just takes away all trust. No, she thinks about screwing me over all the time. She's got nothing but, oh, God, look at him.
Christine has a talent for rewriting history, especially when it comes to her relationship with Janelle. In her version, their bond seems to have been this deep, unbreakable connection all along, but let's be real, that's a bit of an oversell. Their closeness is much more recent, tied to the moment they both walked away from Kody, and the shift is clear. While Christine can't help but turn on the charm and gush about their sisterhood, Janelle, ever the down-to-earth one, seems a little uncomfortable with the performance. She's certainly happy to be closer to Christine now, especially for the sake of the kids, but there's a distinct difference in how these two interact and talk about their relationship. Take that emotional scene when Janelle is crying as Christine moves to Utah. They shared a life together, but now they're each stepping into new chapters with love and friendship. The bond doesn't need to look super intense to be meaningful. It's about respect, shared children and grandchildren. It's a beautiful display of female friendship and support. These women, though very different, have a deep respect for one another, and I think it's refreshing to see that portrayed in the media. Christine is all about big feelings out, you might say, while Janelle is a bit more reserved with her emotions, feelings in. But that doesn't mean Christine is faking their connection. It's genuine from both sides. If Janelle didn't truly value the relationship, she wouldn't be flying to Christine's events, rocking a bright pink dress, and showing up to support her. These two communicate in their own unique ways, but trust me, they are very close. We've got so much to dive into today, so let's not waste any time. Let's jump straight into it. Hey everyone, what's up? It's Elena here, and welcome back to my channel Reality Nexus X. I was on YouTube the other day and stumbled upon one of Gwen's old reviews. And of course, I had to pause for a second and think, I miss Gwen. She was so refreshingly blunt and real. Seriously, her reactions were always on point. Honestly, I'm still fuming about how Kody silenced the adult kids because he thought they were giving the show bad PR. Do you remember when Peyton said something like, "Once the last episode of Southwest airs, I'll spill it all"? Apparently, Kody was pushing for a clause in the show contracts that would let TLC sue the kids if they said anything negative about him or Robyn. Guess what happened next? The kids started dropping off their social media platforms like flies. Maddie's the latest to leave the Authentic Society after only 2 months on the podcast. At this point, Mykelti is the only one left, but even she and Tony are tiptoeing around everything they share. It's almost like filler content at this point. Is it just me, or does anyone else actually want to hear the real tea from these kids? I'm not saying Kody or TLC forced them off the show, but come on, this is the same family whose brother just tragically died by suicide. Now, I'm not one to place blame when it comes to suicide, but let's be real, Kody's toxic behavior couldn't have helped Garrison's mental health. People with the most loving, supportive families sometimes still take their own lives. So I get why we need to be careful with what we say about Garrison and Kody, because while Kody might never read your comments, others will. As for Gwen, I think she stepped back right after Garrison's passing. There could be tension with her mom, too, but honestly, it seems like she might have taken a step back purely for her own mental health. Who knows? And honestly, after being on TV for years and having their most awkward, uncomfortable teenage moments exposed to the world, is it any wonder they just want to disappear from the spotlight? I'm just guessing, of course, but I wouldn't blame them. I'm convinced that the close bond Mykelti has with Robyn is nothing more than a ploy to mess with Christine. Seriously, having Robyn there for the birth of Mykelti's first child, and doing things her real mom probably wanted to do. It just screamed, let's get under Christine's skin. Sure, Mykelti used to babysit Robyn's kids when she was younger, but let's be real. I'm not buying the whole "we're so close" act. Mykelti is way too spoiled and self-centered, and she thrives on getting a reaction out of people. She's so transparent it's almost painful to watch. Honestly, she's like a walking middle school prank. Then there's that weird vibe between David and Tony in the latest episode. When they were getting ready, David seemed a little irritated with Tony, though of course, he was trying his best to hide it. I bet Christine has to bite her tongue every time she's around Mykelti and Tony during filming. Those two, their entire personalities revolve around getting a rise out of people. Oh, and remember when Tony casually ripped on Mykelti's wedding colors, calling them ugly or something? Yeah, that tracks. David probably had to get the Tony initiation at some point. Mykelti and Tony are honestly just jerks. That's it. They get off on making everyone else uncomfortable and acting like they've got all the answers just because they have kids now. Mykelti especially tries so hard to sound wise, talking in that monotone, breathy voice like she's some deep thinker. Newsflash, she's not. When Robyn made that comment about hoping Christine and David can be happy, I couldn't help but think, wow, that's dripping with passive-aggressive charm. But then I watched Notes to Self's YouTube recap, which, by the way, is basically a masterclass in decoding the subtleties of this show. According to Notes, Robyn is still deeply enmeshed in the teachings of the AUB, and this comment is Robyn's subtle way of saying, I believe Christine and Kody are still sealed forever, and therefore Christine and David's happiness is impossible. Because, eternal sealing and all that. I think that's what she was getting at, audio issues aside. But here's the thing. Robyn really needs to accept that Christine has moved on, and her walking away is enough for her. The fact that Christine is now remarried. In Christine's eyes, that's the final nail in the coffin of her bond with Kody. Robyn, though, she's clinging to the idea that their AUB marriage ceremony somehow means they're eternally bound together, no matter what. Newsflash, Robyn. Once Christine found someone new, that's pretty much the end of the story. But oh, Miri's official AUB release, that's a game changer. Robyn's rulebook says that to reach the top of heaven, she needs at least 3 wives. So when Miri left, it wasn't just a personal loss for Kody, it was a celestial blow to Robyn's dream of ruling her very own planet. Now, it's telestial mediocrity for you, Robyn. Enjoy your eternal seat in the middle tier. And then there's Melanie, who had a thought-provoking theory. Miri's decision to request a release due to abandonment is, essentially, Kody's ticket to unworthiness. If Kody's unworthy, well, it's debatable whether any of his marriages are valid anymore. Sure, he's legally married to Robyn, but Janelle and Christine shouldn't technically even need to ask for a release. They're free to go if they choose. Apparently, Robyn also used to run to her dad, who just happens to be the current AUB prophet, for advice on these matters. No word on whether she's still seeking his guidance, but Melanie seems to think that Kody's self-reflection about whether he's worthy of Robyn is likely a symptom of all this spiritual confusion. Kody's in a spiritual limbo, which doesn't bode well for his current marriages or any future ones. This season, during the argument between Robyn and Kody outside, Robyn made it crystal clear that Kody should be bending over backward to repair his relationship with his kids. She even went as far as saying she's starting to lose respect for him because he's not trying. As someone who grew up with a parent who couldn't care less about building a bond with me, I get where Robyn's coming from, though part of me can't help but wonder if she's just playing it up for the cameras. But Kody's reaction? Mind-boggling. He's upset because his kids don't want anything to do with him, yet somehow doesn't seem to understand that they've watched the show, and, surprise, they can see every hurtful thing he's ever said and done. Does he seriously not realize how his chosen lifestyle has had long-term consequences on his kids? Honestly, if I were in their shoes, I probably want nothing to do with him either. What makes this whole situation even more frustrating is how Kody completely misses the point of what it means to be a parent. Instead of taking responsibility for the mess he's made, he's more focused on pointing fingers and protecting his fragile ego than actually doing the hard work of repairing his relationships. The way he acts like it's his kid's job to fix things is maddening. Parenting isn't conditional. When things get tough, you don't just check out or expect the other side to do all the emotional labor. It's equally infuriating that Kody's so obsessed with defending himself and Robyn that he's completely lost sight of what truly matters, his relationship with his children. Even Robyn, who's often seen as part of the problem, told him he didn't need to defend her and should focus on reconnecting with his kids. And shocker, she was right. But did Kody listen? Of course not. His defensive, dismissive attitude only made the situation worse. Honestly, at this point, I'm starting to wonder if Kody even remembers all of his kids' names or their birthdays. His go-to line, "All they have to do is call me," is maddening. It's so passive, so hands-off. He's their father. It's on him to make the effort, especially after everything he's done to them. The whole thing feels like he's unwilling to do the emotional work to fix his relationships, because that would mean facing his own flaws as a parent. What's even more frustrating is how oblivious, or worse, indifferent, Kody seems to be about the fact that his kids lived through this chaos firsthand. Now, they get to watch the show and see just how little effort he put into being there for them. His words, his actions, his decisions. It's all laid out for them to see, for everyone to see. And yet, he continues to act like he's the victim in all of this. Robyn was right. Kody should have stepped up. Instead of worrying about who's criticizing him and Robyn, he should have focused on building a bridge with his kids. She made a good point when she said he didn't need to defend her, and that his kids could decide for themselves if they wanted to talk to her. His energy should have been elsewhere, on the relationships that actually mattered. Ultimately, what's so disappointing is that none of this had to happen. If Kody had put even a fraction of the effort into repairing his relationships with his kids that he now expects from them, things could have been different. But no, he let his pride get in the way, and now the family relationships are hanging by a thread. Oh, and about Christmas Eve, let's not pretend it wasn't a total act for the cameras. Robyn was the one who wouldn't let Mary do it. If they'd just come together that night, maybe, just maybe, some fences would have started to mend. But no, that was too much of a challenge. Why on earth is Robyn the spokesperson for the religion? Honestly, I'm so done with her acting like she's the ultimate authority on it. Like she knows every little thing about the faith and how it was before she waltzed in like a wrecking ball and tore apart the family. She's constantly going on as if she's the world's leading expert on polygamy. Newsflash, Robyn, you've never actually lived it. So how in the world does she get to decide what it should be like? I'm rewatching the show, and it's honestly exhausting listening to her act like she has all the answers on every topic. It's almost impressive how she manages to know everything and nothing. She shifts between these two modes like a pro, whichever one will earn her the most sympathy and make her the tragic victim of the situation. Classic Robyn. I know I'm probably beating a dead horse here, but hey, that's Kody and Robyn's specialty, right? Now, imagine if they actually were invited to the wedding. I can just picture it. Kody shows up in the same white tux he wore for his wedding to Mary because, of course, he has to outshine the bride. And because it's Kody, he decides to take it up a notch with a perm, courtesy of a child pageant makeup artist. Seriously, eat your heart out, Shirley Temple. Robyn, in true form, sneaks off to a dark corner of the bar, slipping the bartender a crisp $40 to slide her drinks so nobody sees her getting wasted. Not that anyone's bothering to talk to her anyway, so she doesn't have to put in much effort. They leave the kids behind for the night because they want to test the waters to see if it's safe. Spoiler alert, it's not. Meanwhile, the poor hotel staff and their adult kids are left at some hotel with a nanny. And of course, Aries somehow manages to destroy thousands of dollars worth of stuff in the lobby. Classic. Kody, ever the self-proclaimed dance floor king, tries and fails to start a dance-off. He's so laser-focused on earning his Lord of the Dance title that he forgets to talk to any of his actual adult children. Not that they'd want to talk to him anyway, but still, you'd think he'd notice the crickets. Totally oblivious, he struts around thinking people are laughing with him. No, Kody, they're laughing at you. The grand finale? He attempts a lap dance on David and genuinely thinks it went well. David, on the other hand, wastes no time filing a restraining order the next day. By the end of the night, Kody somehow forgets Robyn at the reception and tries to convince Janelle to go home with him. Robyn, naturally, has to call an Uber. And you know what? Chef's kiss. Kody is reaching 50, and it's becoming clear that managing relationships with 3 wives isn't as easy as it once was. It's probably not just that he's no longer attracted to them, though that's part of the puzzle, but admitting that he's struggling with intimacy would be a tough thing to acknowledge. After all, if he was only intimate with the 3 at the time of the divorce, it makes sense that he's feeling the strain. It's just a tricky thing to admit out loud. Now, let's not compare him to David and Christine, who are in the early stages of a new relationship, where there's often a lot more closeness and affection. Kody, however, is only being intimate with 1 wife, and it seems that the dynamics are shifting. That might explain why the 1 day on, 1 day off rotation changed over time. What stands out most is that Kody himself has said that he doesn't feel attracted to Christine, citing her behavior as the reason. Rather than addressing the issue directly, he seemed to withhold affection, hoping it would lead to change. But that approach didn't work, and Christine eventually left. As for Mary, the affection had stopped years ago. With Janelle, intimacy didn't seem to be an issue, and Robyn, given that her children often sleep with her, might not expect as much physical closeness with Kody. And then there's Kody's focus on having more children. When his wives are no longer able or interested in having more kids, it seems like his interest in them starts to fade. If Kody truly wanted to be intimate with all of his wives, there are options available to help with physical challenges, but perhaps he hasn't put much thought into that. So I'm rewatching this, and I just hit the episode where Christine admits she was on antidepressants when Robyn came into the picture. Yeah, we all know Christine had to be dealing with postpartum too. Shocking, right? Janelle, bless her heart, was so supportive, crying right along with Christine like it was some big vulnerable moment. You can tell that one was genuine. It makes you wish the show had been a little more honest about these real struggles. I'm sure other plural wives, and even the kids, were feeling this way too. But nope, no deep dive on how Kody was feeling. They didn't even ask him, did they? Let's not forget Christine had a miscarriage before Truly was born. I'm not sure how much time passed between that and her pregnancy with Truly, but I do know Truly ended up being 6 years younger than Isabel. Was this baby her attempt to salvage things with Kody? I don't know, but here's where it gets rich. As soon as she's pregnant, what does Kody do? He starts courting Robyn, of course. And don't even get me started on how he's spending all this time crying on Christine's shoulder, telling her how much he misses Robyn and how he's lovesick. Are you serious? Then, when it's time for Truly to be born, where's Kody? At Robyn's house, not with his pregnant wife. He shows up at the last minute, just in time to have a chat with the doctor about getting Mary pregnant. Because, obviously, that was the pressing issue. What a joke. Sure, Christine might have had some postpartum hormones messing with her head, but can we just acknowledge she had situational depression too? It wasn't all just hormones. And guess what? A lot of LDS women are on antidepressants for that exact reason. I wouldn't be surprised if Robyn's popping pills too. Her eyes have that hollow, I've seen too much look. At first, I really didn't get why everyone hated Robyn, but then season 13 happened. I was practically boiling when I saw her stir up this ridiculous drama about being hurt because Mary didn't invite her to the B&B or Parowan house closing. Like, seriously? She had the audacity to make it about herself at such a huge moment for Mary. It was downright cruel, sucking the joy out of what should have been an exciting milestone. Now, I can't help but rethink the older seasons and wonder how much of her whole "I'm the perfect sister-wife" routine was just an act. Maybe she was just trying way too hard to appear like the saint of the bunch. Oh, of course, those were Robyn's coronavirus rules. How could we ever doubt it when there's proof? Remember that episode where Kody's standing by his truck, asking Robyn if he can take the kids to hang out with the rest of the family? And Robyn makes that face like she just bit into a lemon? Yeah, that one. If those rules were really Kody's, he wouldn't have asked for permission. He'd have just told her, "I'm taking the kids." Simple as that. And Robyn, being the all-knowing queen of the household, would have just nodded and said, "Sure, go ahead." But nope, instead, she looks like she might start a war. So yeah, these rules were clearly not Kody's. And don't even get me started on how Robyn's household exposed everyone because of the nanny, a stangaa, no less. And yet, they're completely silent about taking zero responsibility for that. They're so completely blind to their own hypocrisy, it's almost impressive. It's like they genuinely can't see what they're doing wrong. Shocking, really. Now, let's rewind to that first video call when coronavirus was first hitting. Kody's at Janelle's house before Robyn has had her talk with him. He's literally parroting everything Janelle says. Coronavirus is not a big deal. We should all stay together as one family. But then, out of nowhere, Robyn swoops in with her brilliant idea. 4 separate households and 0 crossover. Everyone's supposed to be quarantined to their own little world. And then, just a few episodes later, Kody's spouting off like it was his idea all along. Classic. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next video. Take care and much love to you all.